So some pretty big news out today if you're a Blues fan or a New Zealand rugby fan. Rieko Ioane has signed through a 4-year deal, which will keep him in New Zealand, keep him with the Blues, and keep him with New Zealand rugby for the All Blacks until 2022. This one's kind of been a long time coming. I did a video quite a while back that had basically said the Blues had sorted their end. They'd agreed to terms with both Rieko and his brother. His brother has also signed a deal which will keep him in New Zealand 1 year less. So he's 2021 for Akira and Rieko is 2022. But yeah, supposedly the Blues had their end of this deal sorted quite a long time ago, and it's just been New Zealand rugby getting their side sorted. From all accounts, although they don't release the figures, Rieko will be one of the highest paid All Blacks players, or highest paid guys in New Zealand rugby. They reckon around about the $1 million line, which is, in terms of New Zealand rugby, it's really big bucks. Kind of in the same ballpark as Kieran Reid, who's the captain, obviously. Beauden Barrett, the star, World Player of the Year, and Sonny Bill Williams, who's kind of one of the big names in rugby. So, yeah, for him to get such a big contract is a big deal for a guy his age, only 21. But also, it's, I guess, securing him at least for the World Cup and beyond. You've seen a few guys, Ardie Savea, Jordie Barrett, have kind of done the short-term thing to see what happens kind of with the World Cup next year. But Rieko is going beyond that level, so they must have negotiated pretty hard with him. I guess if they've thrown quite a lot of money at him, it kind of makes sense. There was always a bit of risk, I guess, that, the All Blacks kind of got bitten with Julian Savia's big contract. I think he was on a 4-year contract as well. And that kind of proved to be a year or even a bit longer too long, because he kind of dropped out of that picture as he headed into his mid to late 20s, kind of falling behind some other guys. But this didn't seem to phase the negotiators for New Zealand rugby. But I guess the guy's only 21, so by the time he comes off this contract, he's only kind of getting into that age where Julian Savea was kind of at his peak, and when he signed his his long-term contract. So I suppose that kind of makes sense. The word is that New Zealand rugby wanted him till 2023, which would get him through to that next World Cup after the coming one. But I suppose, he's putting himself in a decent bargaining position to consider his options. Is he still going to be one of the All Blacks' top guns in 2022? Honestly, you don't know. If you'd looked at that 2015 performance of Julian Savea, you would have said he's a shoo-in, stay with the All Blacks, break all kinds of records, but it didn't end up happening. So he kind of gives himself that flexibility. And if he still is the top dog, kind of in his mid-20s, he's in a position a year out from a World Cup to either play hardball with New Zealand rugby to get some more money, or perhaps look for those contracts which are on offer before the World Cup. Because after the World Cup, everyone's looking for an overseas deal in terms of players from Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. So yeah, it would make more sense for him if he wants to get a more lucrative deal to be doing it the year before a World Cup, if a World Cup is not kind of what he's after at that point. Again, it's still really far into the future, so it's kind of a bit pointless to speculate that far out. But either way, 2022 is a pretty good news story for suffering Blues fans, especially that he's put pen to paper. It's been an interesting one recently with contracts because, Samu Kerevi is on for another year. And interestingly, Billy Proctor, who's Matt Proctor's younger brother, has signed a 5-year deal to stay at the Hurricanes, or to join the Hurricanes. He's only 19. 5 years is a really massive contract in terms of New Zealand rugby. I think it's the longest in Hurricanes history, so it is an interesting one. But yeah, 18 tries in 18 tests. He's still a very young man. Paying him the big bucks kind of makes sense to keep him in the country. You guys let me know what you think on this contract. Is it a good idea? Can you see him kind of still being the top dog come that next World Cup? Or do you think by 2022 he's going to be kind of doing a Julian Savea and making his way north? You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.